All right, we are live.
We are live into the backlog podcast, YouTube live.
What's up,
Feeling good,
everybody?
feeling real good. We have had a crazy week. We've had a lot of new stuff coming out, and we have both finally seen Black Panther Wakanda Forever. So that is mostly what we'll be talking about tonight. We'll also be talking about some Kevin Conroy, maybe ranking um, some of Phase 4, but rest in peace to Kevin Conroy, and we'll get more into that later. Um, so, just starting out, it's been a week since the last time we have been live. Let's talk about what we've been working on in the backlog. You go first. I have not done much. I have not done much since the last time we listed out what we wanted to. It's been a real busy week. But we got new stuff we're working on. We're working on some things. Go ahead.
Y- yeah, I mean, like I haven't done much myself. God of War came out, but I haven't gotten to play it yet, so I'm looking forward to playing that tonight. As far as what I was working on, like last week, I mentioned I was reading Undead Unluck, but I haven't read any of that. So honestly, I haven't really tackled anything on my backlog this week.
And that is why we are called into the backlog, because in order for a backlog to exist, sometimes we have to keep that stuff in the backlog.
Exactly, and that's all I'm doing. Like I'm just putting it in because we need more content. Got to pump
Exactly.
it out.
Um, for me, I have only read a couple chapters. We do not both have watched the anime. Both had mixed feelings about the anime, but I was reading Platinum End. I'm about 10 chapters in. Longer chapters, I believe they were monthly releases. If you guys have not seen that anime, that has a very controversial ending, some controversial story points, as the author of Death Note has had in the past. The manga is written by the author of Death Note. If you are a fan of that one, you know what we mean when some things just kind of some things happen that are pretty questionable around like the second half of whenever he writes the story,
No
apparently.
man.
So I feel like that also is true here, but at the same time, I'm glad he got to flesh out the story the way he wanted to. So far, I'll say that the animation style for that anime kind of didn't fit the way the manga is. The manga has far more detailed artwork and
Oh
looks
yeah.
a lot better than the show did. The show honestly looked like it was older animation to me, like
It
early
it
2000s
it,
animation.
the
Um,
animation wasn't a strong point. I
Well,
agree.
which isn't a bad thing. Like for this particular show, you don't need like over the top, good looking animation. It would have helped a little bit because the manga does have pretty stellar artwork, as I believe it is the same artist that was on Death Note. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, I'm gonna try and get through that. I mean, 10 chapters in, I only got what? It's 58 chapters total, so math is hard. Um,
you got
but
you don't got that much at least. Thankfully, it's
we,
a short read.
we got like 46 chapters left or something. But um, beyond that, I started God of War as it's going on right behind me. Um,
A
I'm about 20, I think I said 25 hours in, 26 maybe. 26 hours in. It's really good. I have my gripes, and it being, and this is just the internet saying this because it's not like we can't have two amazing games that exist side by side, but it's a matter of who's going to win more awards, I guess. But this compared to Elden Ring, which took about 300 hours of my life away, um, I personally feel like Elden Ring is still the better game.
yeah,
This will probably win more awards just because it's so much more narrative based video game. It
I
feels
can
like
see
I'm
it.
playing
Yeah.
through it feels like I'm playing through a movie, honestly, and that's good. It's a good story. There just are some beats that, for me, just I kind of just feel like it could have been laid out a little bit different. But
Mhm.
if this is the direction they're going, I'll stand by it. It's still good. It's just there's some stuff that I am kind of like, all right, let's get back to the good part. No spoilers about that because we're not here to talk about God of War today. Maybe when you, me, and Marty beat it, we'll do some spoiler talk. I'm
Yeah, for
sure.
sure. Yeah, we'll do a whole episode about it in the future.
Yeah, so definitely play it, especially if you like the first one. It's definitely very much like the first one, just more. The first one's great, and it's more of that great stuff. So if you
Uh-huh.
like the first 2018 game, you'll like this one. I'll even add, without spoiling anything, if you are someone that really was into the original trilogy, you will like this one as well. I
Heck yeah,
never, I never got the chance to play God of War 3. Someday I will. It's been in the
amazing.
backlog forever. I know a majority of what happens in the game, unfortunately, but
Yeah,
that's okay. It's still about the experience. But I think that's really it for me. Other than that, I've just been listening to more music,
nice.
cycling through some more hip hop albums that I've missed throughout the years. For those of you that do not know, I've been a very avid hip hop fan for most of my life. I love all genres of music, but hip hop has always been my bread and butter, and I've been getting put on to a bunch of different artists like Denzel Curry or JID or Jid. I'm not sure which one the
Uh-huh.
pronunciation is, but those are two big ones right now that I keep revisiting that have amazing lyrical content, amazing production for their albums, and just overall are just amazing talent that I don't know how I let fly under the radar for me. But
I can vouch for Denzel Curry. He showed me the album, and it's pretty good. Definitely give him a listen.
yeah, very very talented. It's crazy for me in hip hop how like you feel like you kind of just heard it all, right? Like
Yeah,
people just keep doing the same thing, but then someone just raises the bar or does something different, something original, and it just feels like a whole new game. Like someone changed the game, someone added a new flavor to the mix, and that's the beauty of hip hop is that there's infinite possibilities.
yeah.
But anyways, transitioning over Black Panther Wakanda Forever. We will be doing spoiler talk here. The beginning may not be too heavy into the spoilers, but there will be spoilers being thrown out here. But yes, Wakanda Forever. And now, as a Latino, I can just go around doing the little serpent thing that they do in the movie.
Ah,
Which some people,
yeah.
if you didn't know, if you guys didn't know, in Mexico, Dragon Ball is also a very popular anime there. I remember as a kid visiting family there. They had it before America did, so it was in Spanish there, and I saw Dragon Ball in Spanish. So Mexicans love Dragon Ball. It's very popular over there. The world stopped when they were airing the Tournament of Power
Oh
in
yeah, I remember that.
Mexico. It was like in the one of their main cities on the big screens, and everyone just stopped and watched it. They were playing in bars
I would have loved
there.
that, honestly. Like if I
Yeah,
got to
I
watch
wish I
the
wish
fight.
we could experience something like that here in the states. But anyways, I see this when they were doing that in the movie for the Serpent God,
Yeah,
because that's like their version of Wakanda Forever. So I'm like,
right.
oh, Latino's got that now. So
I
and
didn't
then on
even
top of that, it's like Kamehameha.
I didn't even think of that actually when I saw it.
Yeah, because I mean, even when he does the Kamehameha, it's basically like he's opening up the dragon's mouth to shoot out a dragon, like beam of energy. Um,
Whoa,
So yeah, I'm getting
my
real
mind
deep,
is blown now.
real deep with it. But yeah, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. What was your expectations before you went to go see this?
So like with what happened with Chadwick Boseman's passing, I wasn't sure what they were gonna do. I personally thought that I would enjoy the film, but I wouldn't like feel a deep connection with it, and like that's something that I feel like I got from this movie. We'll talk more about it, obviously, further like the themes on it, but like I the fact that they used Chadwick's passing and they like weaved it into the story and they made the story like better because of it. I thought, it just blew my expectations out of the water. Like they just did such a good job with it. I was looking forward to it, but after seeing it, like I want to go watch it again. Like it
Yeah,
just exceeded my expectations.
I don't know if I'll get the opportunity to see it again, but as far as my expectations going in, I really like the trailers. They not only just because it was a Marvel movie, but and I'm a nerd, but the actual trailer of the movie made me feel like this was more than just a comic book movie. It was just
Yeah,
like a genuinely good movie. like a good, like, you know how a lot of people say that about The Dark Knight, where it's like, oh yeah, I mean that it's a good comic book movie, but it's not just that; it's a great movie in general.
Yeah,
Because sometimes you blur those lines in the genre where it's good for a comic book movie. You'd say, like, sometimes you could say
yeah,
that for Endgame. Like, there's flaws in Endgames, but it's a great comic book movie because it gives us all the great fanfare and those cheerable moments. I mean, like, sometimes the camera, like, in the music, cues up the audience to cheer for what's about to happen. So
yeah,
there's that type of stuff. This was more of a serious movie. You definitely feel Ryan Coogler's touch in the movie, and we'll get into that. But it definitely exceeded my expectations, and I had good expectations for it. I thought it was going to be a good movie, but it
same.
exceeded
Yeah,
those expectations.
yeah, one
It
hundred percent.
definitely stuck the landing for me. Um, you want to throw up the spoiler talk thing real
Yeah,
quick?
I got you.
We haven't said anything too crazy other than like the first like the part of the movie, but just so if people are jumping in, we
Yeah,
will give them fair warning. But yeah, just going into the theater, we got a very nice theater experience. One of the biggest screens you could possibly see on, great sound. Um, the movie itself, I personally felt like they had a very tough task ahead of them, trying to fill the shoes of the absence of Chadwick Boseman. To my understanding, this movie's script originally, when Chadwick Boseman was alive,
uh-huh.
was finished, and around the time that he died, it was wrapped up almost. The timing landed where he had passed away around the time the script was finished.
Wow, so they could have actually just went with their original thing and like try to work
If
around it.
if they, I don't know what the original plan was. Maybe
Uh-huh.
in the future they'll let us know as time goes on. But the original script was done, and this is just something that I heard. I'm not 100% sure, so if anyone sees this and wants to correct me, feel free.
Right. Yeah.
Um, but just thinking about that, that's crazy. That is a tough task to just have your whole plan just kind of just fall apart, and on top of that, they had to deal with COVID during this.
Yeah, COVID limitations, everything.
They had to deal with COVID, and Ryan Coogler and the entire cast and crew, they made an amazing movie, and you could tell as we'll get into it that the movie was made with love. You look
I
at
agree.
you look at that everything that was being put out there with the music, the performances, and how everyone felt. I think they hit that. How about you?
Honestly, I agree with that because like, so, and a lot, not every Marvel movie does this, but like a lot of them, you can like get the superhero vibe to it when you're watching it, right? Like you feel like you're reading a comic or you're watching like a animated like Marvel movie, but in this movie, it felt like even though it felt like Marvel, it felt like the actors just made it their own story and like they were just able to act out this whole story. But like even though it was a story, like it was fiction, it felt real. Like it felt like it was a real life like film. Like it had
Yeah,
nothing to do with like a fictional universe
it
whatsoever.
felt
To
like
me
real life.
anyway.
You could strip away the mantles of the Black Panther and all that stuff, and it's just two real nations that have a real deep rooted history in their people being discriminated against and tossed to the side, and they're two great nations that are trying to be bullied into giving up their resources in this movie, as you come to find out.
Hmm.
And that's real life. That's what happens, and they have to figure out how to live in that world now without their king.
Yeah,
So, um, I felt like they pulled it off. They pulled it off, and through everyone's reactions of the loss of T'Challa in the movie, I felt his presence throughout the entire film because everyone's reactions were stellar. Like everyone performed it really well, and a lot of that is probably because they all were working. They worked with this man. They
exactly.
had a
It was
working relationship with him, and they lost him.
Yeah.
and they had to do it day in and day out, and they put that real you could feel that real level of pain through most of these actors on the big screen, and it's
Yeah.
really tough to put into words how much that means to the story, because you look at how each one of these characters dealt with loss, and their dealing with that loss kept T'Challa at the forefront of everything, even though he physically wasn't there. You look
Hmm.
at M'Baku. Eventually, in the movie, you you don't get too much of him, but when you do, you get to see how he's trying to fill the shoes for Shuri to be like the counsel to him,
Hmm.
and that's his promise to Shuri. So he tries to remain strong for the sake of what he promised T'Challa.
Yeah, he trying to help ease the grief right now. He's like he was basically trying to handle business and let others grieve while he like try to take control of the situation. So I really like that aspect of him. Yeah,
Yeah, he definitely stepped up there, and I've heard some people say that he needed more time in the movie, or like some people even said that he was the one that should have been taking up the mantle. But I think it made more sense for Shuri to do it. I mean, Shuri did it in the comics.
I agree.
She's underrated in the first movie, to be honest
She
with you.
was. She really was.
Very smart, and in Infinity War, she showed how smart she was when she was basically running circles around what Bruce Banner could do.
Yeah.
um,
Oh, in Infinity War, right?
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, obviously they have the advanced growing up around vibranium and the greatest minds
Yeah.
and
All the
all that
technology they
stuff, and
have.
learning all that stuff is, it, she had she was ahead of the game on that. But
Right.
Okoye was kind of similar to M'Baku, where she tried to remain to be the strong pillar, but on a little bit more of the emotional side. But man, I loved her action scenes, man. That part on the bridge when they were trying to protect Riri
Oh
and
yeah.
Shuri. Oh man, the action scene there was like I felt like I was watching like some sort of fight in Creed,
In
which
Creed. Okay.
obviously is you got the same vibes there, but man, I really liked her action style in this.
Yeah, I agree, and like how the actress like handles that staff, like you could tell, like clearly she, they had to get some kind of training with that because like she looked such a badass handling that staff that she
Yeah,
uses in the film, and I liked that they built that like one scene on that bridge though with that one guy that she fought
I think that
and
was Atuma.
Atuma was the
Yeah,
name? Okay. Yeah, with how her and Atuma had like a little rivalry going on because like later in the movie when they meet again, like you could tell like I don't remember if he said anything to her, but like he acknowledged her presence and they had like a 1v1 fight kind of deal
yeah,
going on. So I really like that part
yeah.
with
I
how they did
already
that.
liked her, but this movie put her up there as one of my favorite characters out there. Um,
Agreed.
I think one of the maybe underappreciated performances, just because she doesn't do any action, she physically can't, but she commands respect with her words. Was Queen Ramonda.
Oh yeah. God, she
Give her an Oscar, bro. Like that performance, the pain, the the strife that she went through, and ultimately her being the queen that she is, protecting someone that she didn't even really know with her life was incredible. So, what can you say about her performance, man?
dude, like so the first real scene that I was just like, man, this woman can act was when she's with like all the world leaders, and then she started talking about how, oh, we discovered the other day a group that tried to infiltrate our country and steal our vibranium, and then she had them brought in. They didn't kill them, but like just the message she sent and the way she said her speech, I was just like, wow, she
That
can
was that was some real G shit right there. That was just straight up gangster. I loved it.
act.
She filled in those shoes that she needed to during that whole time. She needed to be a strong leader. But one of my favorite scenes where you could tell that she's still a boss is when Namor first shows up in Wakanda, and she's
Mhm.
confused as to how he's even able to do that. Um, and she's like, I am not a woman that likes to repeat herself. And
Right,
he
right.
finally gets the name out of him. She didn't fear him. There was not an ounce of fear. She was concerned for the safety of her, um, for in fear of the nation and everything, but not she wasn't scared. Uh, and then obviously one of the most impactful scenes is where she thought she lost her daughter
Oh
permanently,
yeah.
along with everything else, and she banished Okoye from being a general of the army,
And
and
she didn't even fight it because like she knew well, she thought she messed up, right? She didn't actually mess up in that scene. Like it wasn't her fault that Shuri got kidnapped, but she
right,
just you could tell I liked that part a lot where they had that encounter and she just instead of like trying to fight her, kicking her out, she just like accepted it. I thought that was actually a really powerful scene with how they did that, and
yeah,
it made her relationship with the Queen even more. So real quick, like I hadn't rewatched the first film since I saw it in theaters when it first came out. So I had forgotten that, like, because in the movie, the Queen mentioned that she sided with Killmonger, and I had completely forgotten about that. But
yeah,
because that scene just showed kind of how far their relationship had come, like because of how much they went through from Black Panther to Infinity War Endgame, and then now Wakanda Forever storyline. Like I really liked just that scene, and I don't know if it was just the acting part, where just the act, like the facial like expressions that the actress made, like instead of fighting it, she just got quiet, and then it went away. Right? They
you could
skipped.
feel the pain and the understanding because I
Ex-
bet she
yeah.
understood that this was coming from a place of the emotional loss that she had with T'Challa to begin with, and
Oh yeah.
to potentially go through it again, she felt like she messed up, and that even if it was harsh, that she should accept it.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Yep.
so that very very powerful stuff. The next one that I wish we got more of, honestly, of her perspective of the overall beginning loss of T'Challa was
Mm-hmm.
Nakia. I believe that's her name.
Nakia.
T'Challa's somewhat love interest in the first movie.
Uh-huh.
She was absent notably during Infinity War and Endgame for all of that stuff, and obviously real world stuff gets in the way. I honestly didn't know she was going to come back. And I forgot she was going to be in this movie, even though she was in the trailers. But
Yeah.
she's someone that, for a fleeting thought, I thought maybe she would take the mantle because she kind of was all about action in the first one as well. But
Uh-huh.
what did you think of her inclusion here? Obviously, we're talking spoilers, so some of the biggest spoilers come from her.
Right. I will get into the big spoiler later. But so again, going back to how I hadn't seen the first film, I had forgotten about her character. Like I remembered her as soon as I saw her.
Great
And
actress, by the way. Great actress.
freaking phenomenal. Like not only in this movie, but in the movie Us. Like I didn't even know that was her. I
I
thought it
didn't
was a
know she
completely
had that
different person.
in us, to be honest.
Oh
But
yeah, she's low key scary if she's got that in her. No, but I really liked her character. I love that she ended up infiltrating. Like she ended up like finding Shuri's location because she ends up going into the. I guess we didn't really talk like plot wise, but she ends up going under into the ocean to meet with the leader of the what was the name of that race? The Talokans, the city, right?
Telecom's the city, but I don't think they had a name that I can remember.
Yeah, so like the underwater race, the underwater race, Shuri ends up going
Talocanians? Talocans?
Talokanians. Okay.
I don't know. I'm just making that up. I'm not reading that off of anywhere.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
So
Because they're called Wakandans, so maybe that's the same thing for them. I mean, I don't know who else
maybe
could
well
reference them as such, but
that's fine. Yeah. So the how Shuri ended up going down there to she wanted to talk with the leader of them because in the beginning of the film the leader decided to or he infiltrated Wakanda and he spoke with the Queen and Shuri and basically said that uh, well actually we have to go back there. The vibranium, they end up finding vibranium in the ocean, and I believe it was the U.S. that was trying to steal it, but I could be wrong. Someone was
Yeah,
trying to take it for
they
themselves.
were all trying to find. Basically, everyone on the planet was since they found
Every
out
country,
vibranium
okay.
existed in plenty, in a plentiful nature. They had to assume that it was somewhere else on the planet as well.
Okay, so yeah, so in the beginning of the film, the great scene by the way, but the tallow, how did you say it?
Just say the people of Talokan.
The
You
people
can
of
call them
Talokan
Atlanteans too, because that's what they technically were
in the
the comics.
comics,
But
Atlanteans.
until
Okay,
we get an
so
official term.
right, yeah. So there's a scene in the beginning of the film where the Atlanteans are stopping this like ship from taking the vibranium, and it's this really unsettling scene. Really, really awesome scene though, where all the Atlanteans like they have this like siren like singing ability that gets all these people like the humans to just walk off the ship. Like that scene alone scared the crap out of me. Kind of like it was freaking me out. But
Yeah, it was pretty intense, especially the way it was shot. You didn't really know what was going to happen, especially when the people started jumping off the boat. I
yeah,
thought that
dude.
music was just background music, like stuff that we weren't meant to hear.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But then they made it. They were like, "What's that noise?" And I'm like, "Oh my god, that's actually happening! Like it's gotta be freaky." But so in that scene, the reason they were able to find the vibranium is because a scientist in the U.S. made a vibranium locator. So the king of the Atlanteans wants the queen and Shuri to find this scientist, and he wants to kill them because he doesn't want uh, the other
Yeah,
countries
you
to
gotta go.
find the vibranium. So that is why Shuri ends up going under the sea to meet with the Atlantean leader, and try and work something out. So going back to how you, what my thoughts were on that character. What was the actress's name or the character's name in the film? The
Nakia.
Nakia. So Nakia she was phenomenal. Like ends up infiltrating this. Not only does she find Shuri's location, she infiltrates she goes into the ocean with this awesome like gadget. I don't even know what it was, but she like I don't know if that's how if they left in this thing or she went into the ocean with it, but like that thing, it was like covered her entire body and it turned into a ship. You know what I'm
Yeah,
talking about? I don't
yeah.
know if that.
It's like a portable submarine thing.
Yeah, that.
There's stuff like that. It's a more souped up version of it, but there's stuff like that for like divers that can get through more of the ocean faster before they run out of oxygen. So
Oh,
it's more of
okay.
it's kind of a better version of that, a Wakandan superior version of that. So yeah, I thought that was really dope. I thought her role in the movie fit very well. I guess for me the only thing that was missing was getting to see that her reaction to permanently losing him. I mean, if you think
Mhm.
about it, and if I don't know who else, if I can't remember, I don't know who else got snapped away in Wakanda.
Yeah.
So they didn't really entirely reference the snap, besides mentioning the battle with Thanos. And they questioned why Nakia never came back after the battle with Thanos, or why she I think maybe they mentioned she left during the battle with Thanos. But
Hmm.
I kind of wanted to see her grieve for T'Challa in some way. She did. You get a little inkling of it here and there from there, but come to find out later, she probably had it worse than anybody.
100%. Yeah.
Just would have been maybe a little bit better to see on screen. But she was the one that was missing. But the next person is Shuri, but I think we should talk about Riri Williams first.
Oh, Ironheart.
New debuting character, side character, due to get a Disney Plus show soon. How'd you
Oh,
feel about it?
I loved her. I loved her acting, her humor. Like it honestly kind of like she just had the same humor as me. I love how she was just like low key had her garage filled with like Iron Man level technology that she built herself at age what like 19 or whatever, however old she is. Um, and I just loved her quirkiness. Like that was my favorite part about her. Just the fact that has even though she built all this awesome technology, she like when they're getting attacked and when she's running away, seeing all this technology. She's like freaking out. She's like getting hyped herself. Like when they finally take her to Wakanda, she's like, she can't believe her eyes. Like it was just cool to see like her seeing stuff for the first time. I really liked her acting. I'm really much looking forward to her show, and I'm hoping she's in that new movie as well. That what was the movie, Armor Wars or something?
She might be in Armor Wars. I would hope she would because she's messing with Stark Tech. She might be
Hmm.
the reason it kicks off for all we know. But I completely agree. I loved the performance we got out of her. I love the scenes that she got out in the movie. I damn near wanted more, but
I agree.
I completely understand why there wasn't more.
Yeah,
I probably shouldn't even be asking for more because she was just a side character in this, and they kept her at that, and I think that's a good thing.
yeah,
Um,
yep,
so it's not her movie, it's not her story. She doesn't have too much involvement with it, but she is someone that they needed to protect. Not that they needed to protect, but they wanted to protect because it was the right thing to do and something that T'Challa
yeah.
would do.
And on top
Um,
of that, like her and Shuri ended up building like a friendship, which actually made it, like if people have an issue with her, like the thing is, like her and Shuri became friends. So now, like I like that part of the film that they slowly like they went through so much together, and at the end of the film, like as they were leaving, like they were like hugging it out, they like just talking like friends. I really like that they did that. Like, really well done on
yeah.
that part.
I've seen some complaints about the Ironheart suit itself. Some saying that it looks like something out of Power Rangers.
Out of
I
Power
love Power
Rangers.
Rangers. I love
Yeah,
Power Rangers, but I don't know. I personally like the suit. I
yeah,
might
same.
have a higher tolerance for some of this, like more comic-y stuff than some people. But I mean, I don't know what you expect out of this world now. Like I don't know how people thought, and like some of those wonky Iron Man suits were probably cool, or like how the Hulk turns or Bruce turns into the Hulk. Like this world is wonky, man. Like
Yeah,
you're
like what do
gonna
you?
get a bunch of different level of stuff. Um, I don't know I don't know what more to add. I mean, I guess it's just a personal preference, but I guess if you don't like it, don't be toxic about it. I don't
Yeah,
know I don't know what to tell you. Like if it doesn't fit your needs, she's just a side character in this movie, so she
yeah,
doesn't have to be like perfect the way you think she'd want her. You probably never even read her comics, to be honest. Well, you're probably hating on the design. Um,
yeah.
to even care that she was just a minor part of the show or the movie, you know.
Yeah. She was like so she was a minor role. Like even though the main plot was protecting her, she didn't have like she was not like overshining. Like she wasn't taking over the story, the plot of the movie. Like she was just a great side character, and that just so happened it's her introduction, and they did a great job with it. And I think the suit looked great. And at the end of the day, like that's also just the first suit. Like it's if we're going off of Iron Man, she's gonna have more. She'll probably have a even cooler one down the road that
Yeah.
if people don't like this one, that's fine. It's only her Mark 1 or whatever. Like
I
she'll
think
get
as
more different
far as this
designs.
one is, I think it's probably as far as Mark II, but
Well, right, 'cause she did
we
have
might find out officially later.
right. She did have two technically in the suit in the movie. She had the first one that she built herself in the garage, which I thought was freaking awesome that she was able to build that herself.
Yeah.
But
So the
it,
stuff
that
she had hands on was great.
that actually also shows how like that she's like she's like Tony Stark level smart. She was able to build an Iron Man type suit in her garage, and Iron Man was able to build. Tony Stark was able to build his Iron Man suit in a cave. Like
Tony built this in a cave. He bought
exactly.
straps. Well, I'm not Tony Stark. One of
Yeah,
the best line deliveries ever.
I
um,
loved that line.
so before we get into the arguably basically the two main characters, which is Namor and Shuri, the one loose plot thread that was going on where it's just kind of weird that they included it a little bit too much was the character of Martin Freeman, who's the actor, Mr. Bilbo Baggins.
But yeah,
Uh, I forget his character's name. in the
Oh,
movie, but his wife, Elaine from Seinfeld, Valentina, um,
yeah, that's what I know it's from.
ex-wife, I should say, that whole plot thread was, in hindsight, pretty unnecessary. And I think it's just to plant the seeds of what is going on with that character in the MCU. It was cool when I first saw her included in the movie, but I thought maybe she would be more a part of the actual plot, but it was just a real separate plot thread. So I guess
Yeah.
eventually she will represent the bad America that is trying to go after the resources for
Mm-hmm.
Wakanda and Khan. Or I'm going to struggle to say that for a while. Uh,
Kukulkan, yeah.
so I felt it was unnecessary, and it's just weird because everyone's been begging for more inclusion and more connectivity of the Marvel universe between these movies, and they finally do it here when it's absolutely unnecessary.
Right, right, yeah.
Or I shouldn't say finally, but it's one of the few times that they do it where they keep it connected, and it just felt like it did it either didn't do enough or did too little. Um, I felt like they should have done a more definite thing and teasing something else if they were going to include it.
Uh-huh.
But now Mr. Bilbo Baggins is in Wakanda, presumably at the end of this movie. So we'll see how that goes later.
Yeah.
Um, so, how did you feel about the inclusion of Bilbo and
The
Miss
girl from Seinfeld.
the Miss Elaine?
Yeah.
Whatever her
So,
name is.
I forget her name. I mean, what I'm looking at, I guess her name is or Martin Freeman, Bilbo Baggins is Everett Ross, and
Okay,
like
Ross.
his character, I honestly didn't mind because like I agree it wasn't necessary. Like if they took out his whole plot line in the film, then I'd be okay with it. It would have just given us they could have focused more on Wakanda and stuff and the Atlantean world, but they were like you were saying. I think they were planting seeds for a future like threat because in the movie her Seinfeld girl, like I'm never gonna remember her name.
I think her name is Valentina in the story.
Valentina.
I
Okay,
think she's
so
supposed to be Madam Hydra, maybe. I may be completely wrong about that. She's just someone that I didn't haven't cared to look too much into.
no, yeah. So like she's had a few appearances in the MCU shows, and I didn't really know who she was or care for her character, but it definitely appears like she's going to become a villain in the future films or shows, whatever they're going to do with her. So, uh, hopefully, her appearance in this movie you know, will have like a payoff in a future film. Like maybe she'll actually be a pretty good villain, or maybe she won't. I don't know. But as far as like how I felt about her, I didn't mind her, but I definitely agree that they did not need to add her or uh, Martin Freeman's character into the film. Like they could have done without. Yeah,
We just got to get the other cast members of Seinfeld in the MCU alongside her
hundred
in some
percent.
way, shape, or form. I don't care what characters they play, but that would be stupendous. And they can celebrate Festivus for the rest of us.
Oh my god.
I'm obviously joking, but that is the last thing right before we get into the big chunk of meat of this movie, and it is our two arguably main characters. Obviously, Shuri is the main character, but Namor also, or
No
Namor.
more.
I gotta say it with the accent. I'm sorry.
You're good.
Is arguably another main character in this movie. He's getting his debut here, one of the earliest Marvel characters in history.
Oh, is he?
Getting yeah, he was. I think he was before Captain America because the main squad before Marvel was even Marvel were the Invaders, and it involved the robotic version of the Human Torch, um, Namor the Submariner, and Captain America and Bucky.
Oh wow.
Um,
Okay, I didn't know that.
so that was, I believe, around the World War II times. So my Marvel history on that stuff is a little fuzzy, but Marvel didn't go into like real full effect, like starting all these classic characters until the 1960s, but they had stuff in the trenches beforehand that they brought over into the main Marvel pantheon, and um, Namor was one of those.
Okay, that
So
I appreciate him more, to be honest.
yeah, I am a big Namor fan. Even before he got this updated version of him with a lot of great indigenous heritage that I really
Yes.
appreciate as a Latino Mexican American. Um, I'm gonna say there was a point where they were speaking Spanish in this movie where I just got a little too giddy. So I was like, I don't need the subtitles. I don't need them. But I really like the update that they gave him. I thought he looked awesome.
Yeah,
But
agreed.
there's a lot of people that really do not like it because they say it's woke, it's too woke, so they didn't change him. But I'm gonna tell you what, his personality traits, his charisma and attitude is very accurate to how he is in the comics.
Yeah,
It is almost the exact same attitude that he has towards the surface world and everything. They just gave him a little flavor, all right? So y'all can relax. Still got your adaptation just fine. He was just a little too vanilla. I'm sorry to say that he shouldn't have gotten this update. He's,
yeah,
that's why he was boring before. That's why there aren't more Namor fans like me because he is not that. He's not the coolest kid on the block. Honestly, he's not much to look at, and um, this movie definitely gave him the update that he needed, and I'm glad that that happened. So, before I get into the rest of my thoughts of his portrayal in this movie, what are your thoughts?
yeah. I really liked him. I knew nothing about him. I don't even think I've ever heard of him, unfortunately. But I agree. Honestly, like, no disrespect to any actor, but I don't think any other actor could have pulled off that performance. And now that I forgive the actor, I don't know his name, but I loved him. I thought honestly, he was probably either my favorite. I want to say favorite or second favorite because I really enjoyed Ironheart's character, but he just he did. I loved his design. I loved his backstory. He had his own share of grief in the film too. Like, and even though his what he did was honestly, it was evil. Like, his intentions were for his people. And that's usually how it always is, right? With a leader, they have to protect their people. But I thought he did a great job with that. Um, I loved his action scenes. Like, I loved his design, like really cool, like wings on his legs, and he had like this like earring or something in his nose. I thought that was really cool. I think a lot of them had that, but I could be wrong.
I think it was very much based in Mayan culture.
Yeah, yeah, that was.
So, and I do believe that the way that they went about making the music is apparently there's only like maybe 1 million people on the planet that actually speak Mayan because it's
Oh, okay.
a dead, dying language.
Yeah.
And they actually found a Mayan rapper, which is
What?
very rare. There might only be like a handful on the planet. And they got him for this movie. So that's what I mean when they made this movie with love. They thought they well thought out
They went all out.
how to make sure to get everything included and make everything as accurate as they possibly could. Um, so
That is cool.
yeah,
I
but
actually didn't know that.
continue and if you sorry,
I mean,
you brought that up.
yeah, I don't got much more to add, honestly. I really enjoyed his character. I love what he was fighting for. The way they, like, obviously he's his abilities. I don't know all of his abilities, but it's clear he's got like super speed of some kind. Like, he was able to go out of the water, and like he's able to like fly in the air because of those little wings. And the way they did his CGI with that, I thought was really well done. It looked realistic. And yeah, that's really all I got on him. But I do want to see more from him. It looks like they're definitely going to do more with him. From what they were talking about at the end of the film. Uh, we can go into that more later if you want. But
Yeah, we will.
what about you? What are the rest of your thoughts on him? How'd you like him?
So I have been wanting some sort of like full on big screen representation for Hispanic Mexican, Latino, whatever type of representation we can get.
Yeah.
Because it's not that common. Like the
No.
furthest I believe in the MCU, at least, that we've gotten was Luis from Ant-Man, the real funny guy that recaps everything.
Yeah.
We got a little Spanish love there, but this is the first big one, and I know there's a lot of people that really don't like the quote unquote woke agenda, but
Hmm.
like with trying to add more representation and stuff with like Miss Marvel or more female leads or more leads that are minorities, Shang-Chi, Black Panther, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I gotta say, it felt good to have it. It's not something that I needed like
Hmm.
my whole life. I never really cared that much, but when you get to see this stuff from the lifestyle that you've had your entire life, and some of it is just sprinkled into one of your favorite franchises, and like obviously you look behind me, I freaking love Marvel. I've been a Marvel fan my whole life.
Yeah.
Um, it feels really good to see, like
Definitely.
legitimately, and I really it's like I finally fit those shoes that people keep saying. It's like, oh well, you must not know what it's like to get your representation, or like because people have always
Yeah.
said like we've had straight male white leads in all these movies for a real long time, and if you aren't um, usually a stereotypical thing for for casting minorities in movies, it's just you're only going to be in the roles that your people are known for.
Right.
Like for a lot of African American films, it was always just like a movie about the hood or slavery. For Latinos, it was kind of a
Kind
similar
of
vibe.
similar. Yeah.
So to be just one of those minorities and to just be in a movie, be in a normal story, be a normal person, like kind of unapologetically showing off your culture,
Yeah.
it feels good, and it's just a weird thing for me because it's just something that I could finally speak on, and I feel like other people have gotten that for a long time, but it just resonated with me, and the fact that his
Definitely.
performance just was off the chain for me. He looked great.
Yeah.
Never in my life did I think those feathers would look cool. The
Yeah.
way he was bouncing around in the air and taking out those fighter jets,
So awesome,
that
dude.
was raw. I
Yeah.
loved it. His performances, his dialogue. He was right up there with Killmonger for me. For as far as like him being the sympathetic villain. Some of the best
Yeah.
villains that exist in all the media are the ones that you can kind of agree with. You just don't
Yeah.
agree with how they go about it. Their means do not justify the ends sometimes.
Hmm.
So I thought him and his conversations with Shuri, which we'll get into Shuri now. They were brilliant. I thought that she ran into him at the perfect time in her life, to where her grieving process needed to go. But
Definitely.
as we get into Shuri, we look at how she got hit the hardest with it. Because at the beginning of the movie, she's always been someone that has relied on science, and it failed her. She was not able to save her brother.
Yeah.
And what a great cold
Wait,
opening, man.
dude, that opening, I teared up. I honestly, I teared up.
Opening credits, everything. So I mean, we're gonna talk about basically the rest of the movie through Shuri's eyes right now, and we'll take it all the way to the ending after credit scene, because I feel like you get to see the most of T'Challa through her eyes throughout this movie,
Definitely.
and her dealing with that loss. Um, I thought she did. I thought she stepped up to the plate perfectly. She was far better than I expected her to be, because I had my doubts. I had my doubts because while she was cool in the other movies,
Hmm.
I didn't know how well she would fit into this role of taking on this form of leadership or taking on that power. But I think she did it well, and her performances were powerful with as far as reacting to the loss, because she had that anger type of loss, because she was angry that she could not do anything, that she was powerless to do it.
Yep.
But yeah, man, I'll say we'll talk about it, but I resisted the urge almost the entire time for this movie to cry, and we'll
I
get into where I finally broke. Well, you know where I broke, but I finally broke at some point. But how did you feel overall about Shuri's performance?
So I agree with you 100%. Like the from the beginning scene to just her feeling powerless the whole film. She mentions it a lot that she not maybe not a lot, but she mentions it a couple times, and you realize like she like just has on her mind all the time, maybe not all the time, but in her mind she just thinks, man, like I'm this smart, we have this kind of all this technology, but I couldn't save my brother's life, and that just hits you really hard. And she, like you said, she really stepped up. Like, not only was the actress's performance phenomenal, but the character's performance, like the fact that she willingly went to the Atlantean world to into enemy territory to try and talk the main villains. What was his name? Your
No, not more.
Namor. Sorry. The fact that she was, went to Namor and um, wanted to try and get him to change his mind about killing Ironheart. I love that aspect. I loved how we didn't mention it, but when she goes to the Atlantean world, Namor shows her his world. She gets to go in this like
Yeah,
air, like this like submarine tank or
yeah,
whatever, and they're like he's giving her a tour of his world, and she gets to see like all the other Atlanteans, like they get to see like a human being for the first time that you could even though they were just like regular background characters, that the little girl or little guy, little kid and the girl, like that when they first saw Shuri and they were like amazed at her, and then she was like smiling at them. That was just like a low key really cool scene that they did.
the music that played during that, plus the visuals,
Oh, dude,
like
the soundtrack on for the whole
it's
film was just on point. Like that's gonna be a listen to on Spotify on repeat. But
yeah,
I love that she stepped up with that. And then she ended up having to take over as the Black Panther, and that was like a really big part of the movie that I loved. Just like the fact that she worked together with Ironheart to make the new Black Panther suit too. Because I don't know, she basically they made a new suit because obviously she couldn't fit in
so I don't
T'Challa's
know if
suit,
that
right?
suit was already made because she made all the suits. Like in the first movie, she
Right.
was the one responsible for all that.
Okay.
Um, so I'm not sure if it was already made ahead of time. I'd have to watch the movie again to be honest. I don't know. I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
they were working together on making her the Ironheart suit for the
Oh, they were making
upcoming
the Ironheart suit. Okay,
for
my
the
bad.
upcoming battle.
So I got really confused then. Okay.
But
But
real quick backtracking, just one mention of something for that scene where they were going through the water and showing the Atlantis. I got some real big like Final Fantasy vibes from that scene. It felt like
oh
Final
yeah.
Fantasy X with like the there was a big scene where like this stuff is flooding, if I remember correctly. And
Uh-huh.
I restarted that game many times as a child, so I kind of remember them being in a stadium type thing and things getting flooded, and they were playing like I think it was blitzball or something like that.
Oh
And
yeah,
there were
yeah.
kids playing with the ball, and in the same fashion as if you've ever seen the movie The Road to El Dorado, underrated movie. Um,
Yes.
it's a game that they play in that movie. So it was
Oh, okay.
in the underwater city of Tucson, and I I just the movie was made with love. I'll keep saying that over and over. There was the attention to detail that I really liked about the movie. But
Oh yeah. Agree.
in relation to the Final Fantasy thing, I like that vibe. It fit really well.
Yeah, I agree. I like that too. Um, but yeah, I mentioned it earlier, but I loved that Shuri and Ironheart's character ended up creating a friendship. I loved the fact that Shuri like her way of grieving. She wasn't really grieving, but because she was so angry, I really liked that she ended up getting into it with her mother. You know, because like her mother thought she was kidnapped. So when they were reunited, you could just tell that you just tell how well the actress was performing for Shuri. I really want to see her in more things. I really liked how she performed. Like you, I didn't think much of her. I didn't have huge expectations for her character, but she's become like definitely top 10 favorite Marvel characters. I really liked her role.
Yeah, especially for this phase and stuff time to go forward. Um, Going into, I guess, the final battle,
Hmm.
a lot of deep themes here where she finally, and this is a real big spoiler, so if you've gone this far and have been listening, she finally gets the Black Panther powers, and this really caught me off guard. And I don't know why I didn't think that this was a possibility, but she gets to meet Michael B. Jordan in the astral plane, or
Yes,
whatever you would call it, and Killmonger is in front of her, and it's a
that
really
was.
deep reason why this was the person that she saw.
Uh-huh.
The reason being is because the way she dealt with Voss is through anger this entire time. She's
Yep.
angry that she couldn't save him, and she's angry that she can't do anything about the situation now. And that's now how T'Challa operated anymore after he realized that he was being manipulated by Zemo. He gave up on vengeance. He was noble,
Right.
as Killmonger points out. So because she was angry, like Killmonger, that's who she saw.
Yeah, I realized that too. And when I realized that, I was like, oh man, what a good way to bring him back too, even just for a little bit. Like, I
Yeah,
really like Killmonger's character in the first film. That was one of the things I can't forget. So just the fact that we got to see him again, I thought even though he just had that brief cameo thing, he did a great job. And they really he really helped motivate Shuri in that final battle. Like how he was like given his dialogue when she was fighting the Moor,
uh-huh.
and then she ended up making that decision not to kill him.
Yeah, she
I
finally got in touch with the noble side and talked to her mother. There was part of me that I don't know if this would have been the right move or how they would have pulled it off, but if it was somehow T'Challa's voice telling her to make the right decision or search her feelings
oh
or something like that, that would have hit even more.
that would have hit too hard, bro. Like I would have.
Yeah, yeah, I probably would have broke there. But overall, I thought the decision to give up on revenge was a great point for this story and for the
Agreed.
future of the Marvel Universe because, as Namor put it, they have an alliance now. And when someone wants to mess with Wakanda, they're going to look to the Shaka Khan for help.
Yes,
And
I can't wait to
that's
see
going to
what they
set up.
do.
That's going to set up for something else. So he still has his own intentions. He
Yeah,
yielded, but he still has his own intentions.
yeah.
Um,
I was getting like a evil vibe from him still. Like I can't tell if they're like
he
actually allies
he
or
is
not.
always going to be for his people. That
Right.
and that if really that makes a good ruler, good leader.
No, yeah,
Um,
for
so
sure.
I don't blame him. He is a great character and he fits that role very well. So as far as the final battle, I don't know about you, but I thought it fit perfectly. I thought it fit the tone of everything that the buildup was for, and there's a lot of people that probably will miss the point of this movie, unfortunately, because as I said, like on my TikTok, this movie's asking you to listen. You should listen. The
Exactly.
first 2 hours hardly has any action.
Yeah.
It
Honestly, there
hard.
wasn't much.
It's talking, 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 talking. If that's not your kind of movie and you just want things to go boom, go watch Transformers. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, yeah.
That's your taste. That's valid. It's perfectly valid. But just don't be toxic about the fact that if this movie is just all talking and you're just sitting there like, I don't care about this, I'm not attached to it. That's okay. It's not for you. Not everything is for everybody.
Yeah.
It's but if other people are enjoying it, I don't see what you have to go about your business, like making sure that everybody aligns with your take and being toxic about it on the internet just to, I don't know, ruffle some feathers because you're bored or something. I don't know. And
Unfortunately, there's just too many.
there's valid criticisms to be had for the movie, as we brought up a few.
Yeah.
But if your whole point is just saying that it's mid, it's an L in the MCU, it's whatever. I don't know what to tell you. You just got it. If you're not listening to it, you're gonna have a bad time.
Yeah, you just need to look. You need to see the deeper meaning behind the movie.
Yeah. So wrapping things up, because we probably got like a 5 minute warning here for the last bit, so we can move on to our next topic.
Sure.
The ending, after credit scenes, and the ending wrapping things up. I lasted the whole movie without tearing up, and then the after credit scene. Go explain to the people what happened in the after credit scene.
So, the what was the actress from Us's name again?
Nakia.
Nakia.
I
So
think that's
Nakia.
her name. I could have been saying it wrong this whole time.
As long as people get what we're talking about. So T'Challa's wife, girlfriend, significant other, whatever. So in the film, briefly, they when they went to reunite with her, she was in Haiti, and she was like in this village, I believe, and she was just helping them get by. And you find out at the end credit scene that her and T'Challa actually had a kid together. So Shuri is an aunt, and the reason she stayed in Haiti and away from Wakanda is so that her child can grow up away from all the politics and all the violence and people. She wanted to protect her son, and that was huge. Like, and you could tell how big of a moment it was for Shuri. Like, the actresses, like, I noticed that, like, the actresses, like, reaction to seeing this boy, like, come about and realizing who he is. That was just a nice touch by the actress. But that part, like, I'm assuming that broke you. That broke me hard.
Yeah, I mean, there was obviously emotions like flurrying throughout the entire film, but that part, it was too much. I could not handle it. It was just an
It,
amazing moment. It was
it,
just, and then on top of that he revealed that he had I forgot his Haiti name or Haitian name, but that he revealed what his Wakandan name it was, T'Challa Jr.
yep,
The
T'Challa
second,
Jr.
T'Challa the second,
So,
and I lost it. I could not handle it. I really, really liked what they did there,
yeah,
and it's
agreed.
a great way to. It's not recasting T'Challa, but at least at some point you will have a Black Panther named T'Challa again, and
Exactly.
that'll be in the future, which could be something of a long. They're playing the long game there. It's about passing the mantles down.
Right.
A lot of Phase 4 was about passing mantles down. Um, the thought of him eventually getting older and maybe there's a storm,
Uh-huh.
a young storm around him, a young mutant that might eventually be his queen when they're older, is something that I really want to see.
I would like that too.
That might be why we're waiting so long for the X-Men. We might just be spreading them out. Speaking of X-Men, Namor, if we didn't mention it, Namor did confirm he is a mutant.
Yes, he did. That
So
I
he was the
remember.
first mutant. He is the first mutant in the comics. He's a very old being. It's just because he's born in that with that genetic thing. The reason for the mutant's existence is going to be tough to explain in the MCU. So
Right.
we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll do a good job, but because they've been slowly, like you said, planting the seeds for the mutants, at least in the MCU shows. But yeah. So, do you want to just wrap up now? Do closing
Yeah,
thoughts and rating?
I think our ratings will be just a real quick thing.
Yeah.
I'll just go first and say overall, I see very little wrong with the movie. I think it executed everything that it was trying to execute with the story it was trying to tell very well. Just a few minor gripes from me that just leave me saying that this movie is an A for me.
An A. All right. Yeah, I agree. 100%. I loved the story for it, the performances by all the actors, the soundtrack was on point. The introduction to Ironheart's character was very well done. I look forward to more from her. I look forward to more from Namor. Um, I give it an A plus. Honestly, I just really love this film. It it hit me hard.
Yeah, those emotional strings were tugged in this one, and they pulled it off. It's a very unique story to tell because you
Yeah,
don't often get something where you're kind of just obligated to. Most other situations, they probably just would have not made the movie.
yeah,
But seeing as how this is a cinematic universe and Wakanda isn't just going to disappear in the cinematic universe, you had to really tell a beautiful story, and ultimately it was a beautiful tribute towards Chadwick, especially when they played the opening credits with a bunch of
oh
his
yeah,
scenes
we
with
did
the
not
Marvel
mention that.
logo,
Yeah,
silent. That hit hard. And
yeah.
then she remembered T'Challa in the last couple moments on the beach
Oh
when
yeah,
she did that ritual that her mom was trying to get her to do, and she
yeah, and
finally
then she
felt
finally
T'Challa.
cried. She finally got to cry and grieve. Like
I
that was a big, deep scene,
real
man.
real quick in regards to that scene with the I gotta send you the video, but
Yeah.
there's that scene or that whole ritual with like how she said that she felt T'Challa's hand on the shoulder, just
Uh-huh.
trying to remember and open up to him from the astral plane. Um, Ryan Coogler, I think a bit before, like when they first showed the second movie's footage at San Diego Comic Con,
Uh-huh.
he went up there and he said that he would always have a situation where Chadwick would be like putting his hand on his shoulder,
Uh-huh.
like because he was just so excited about everything all the time. And
Yeah.
he said that he had really big hands, like
Uh-huh.
abnormally big hands, so they were just heavy. So he said on that stage, and this is before the movie's release, and
Hmm.
he mentioned that after he passed, he just sometimes still just feel his hand on his shoulder.
Dang.
So I feel like that's where that ritual came into play into the writing of the story.
That's
So it
cool.
hits even
I
harder.
really that definitely hits hard. Dang.
But
That's cool. I did not know that at all. That actually gives an entire like a whole new appreciation for that scene. Yeah.
yeah, and I mean it's those little things where you find that stuff and it just makes you appreciate stuff even more.
Yeah.
And obviously, when it, I know we both gave our ratings on it, but it's like when it's something like this, as long as you appreciated what they did for the passing of such a great man, we didn't deserve that man. He was doing all this stuff for us, for like literally for the fans and for the people that wanted to see him in movies and for his own ambition as well to be a great actor, doing all this while he was sick. And rest in peace, man.
Rest in peace, Chadwick.
Um, so unfortunately, to transition from that to another loss that we had recently, we have lost one of, if not the definitive voice of the Batman for many people of the fandom's generations. Most people got into Batman and obsessed over Batman over two people, Adam West and Kevin Conroy's Batman the Animated Series.
Kevin Conroy, man. I can't believe it. I I remember
And
I was at work and like I saw a random article or no, actually I was on Twitter and all I saw was RIP the GOAT or something trending. I'm like, oh no, who passed? And when I clicked on it, first image I saw was Batman and Kevin Conroy, and I was like, I like double taked, and I just couldn't believe it. I remember I sent you a message about it, and I started tearing up because that was just my childhood. Batman the Animated Series. I still have a pillowcase from Batman the Animated Series. I have VHS tapes. I own the series. I've watched Mask of the Phantasm hundreds of times. Like I love the games. Anything he's ever been in, I just loved him. And I know all these people that did know him in real life just say he was just one of the greatest guys they've ever met, one of the nicest guys they know. So this is just a huge loss for not only just the nerd community and his family and friends, loved ones, but just the world. Like we will never get to hear him voice Batman again. That unless they have like some archive footage or voice recordings. Like we'll never hear Kevin as Batman again, and that hits hard. Like I don't know
Yeah.
how do you feel about it?
When I first you messaged me about it because I was actually eating breakfast and I couldn't believe it. I was going through my phone and I was like, "What for real?" Because I think you didn't send an article. I think you just sent the message
Right?
at
Yeah.
first, and then the first thing that happened when I opened up like Facebook on my phone was IGN posting that he had passed, and I immediately just started tearing up. Which is such a strange thing, man. Like I don't know this person. I've never met them in my life. I never got an autograph from them. I never spent more than a minute from them. But he
Right.
was this character, and like a bunch of the behind the scenes stuff, I got to know him, and I got to know his voice, and
Yeah.
his voice was in my life and so many people's lives for so long. When someone and not only that, he was a good person. You could tell that, and he was very interested in what role he was playing. He wasn't even a fan of Batman when he took that role, but he became one, and he
Yeah.
took that role seriously. And anybody else would have just been going in there like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be Batman. I'm just gonna cut
Get
the check,
that paycheck. Like
get the paycheck. I voiced this character. We're gonna move on from this. It's just a kid show.
right.
And the writers of that show, thankfully, put him on to a lot of stuff, and he ended up like loving his job for that and the role that he's taken. And clearly he did because he volunteered so many times after Batman the Animated Series and Justice League to voice the character in animated series, or sorry, animated movies that were part of like the animated universe for the
Yeah.
DC.
Yeah.
He also did the video games, obviously.
Yep.
And by those extensions, those are almost completely and like an extension of the animated series in a way.
Yeah.
At least that's how I've always viewed them because they got
Because of all the voice
Mark Hamill
actors.
and
Yeah.
Kevin Conroy. You gotta be kidding me.
And Tara Strong. She voiced
Yeah,
Harley
Tara
Quinn in
Strong.
there. Yeah.
Although
And the second one, and Arkham
shockingly,
City.
Tara Strong was not the original voice of Harley Quinn. Apparently,
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
someone put me onto that a while ago, and I was just like, I feel like I've been lied to my whole life.
I don't know her as anyone else.
But she's arguably the most popular. But
Right.
yeah, man, I was just devastated because
Yeah.
it's not even just my childhood, like just my whole life. Like when I read Batman comics, that is the voice I read them in.
Yeah.
That is what I'm hearing. I'm hearing the differentiation of his Bruce Wayne and his Batman because he was the first person to do that, where he spoke like just very casual as Bruce Wayne, but then became very stern and to the point as Batman.
Mm-hmm.
And such brilliant writing, such brilliant performances for Batman the Animated Series, and everything that he's done in Justice League and everything. Arguably the best portrayal of him that he gave us, or at least in my opinion, was probably either Master of the Phantasm, or just the entire scope of Arkham City, the game.
Oh yeah, he did such a great job.
I mean, he did a great job every single episode that he did. I mean, he fit those. It seemed effortless on his part.
Yeah.
He just would hit the switch and he was ready to go. He was Batman. And I'll say this here: I put him over all those live action Batman.
Yep.
I put him over all of them.
I love a lot of them, but he will forever be the Batman. There can never be another voice actor that can replace him in my mind.
Yeah, man. I remember having the Master of the Phantasm VHS tapes and the Sub-Zero movie VHS tapes. And then I would see the animated series on TV from time to time. It was very hard to get a hold of the episodes, but I think the Sub-Zero tape I watched and rewound so many times as a kid that it was not playable anymore.
Oh wow!
It might have been. I don't remember entirely. It was either Master of the Phantasm or the Sub-Zero one. But I'll be right back. My door's going.
You're good. Yeah, and the thing about Kevin Conroy, like from my past, like I've been watching Batman the animated series since I want to say 6, 7 years old, and I used to watch Batman the animated series on Cartoon Network. I used to like try and go on my computer and look up like when an episode would come on for the Batman the animated series. I just loved it so much. I love hearing Kevin's voice. I love Mark Hamill's the Joker, and it's just a huge loss for the community, for the Batman community, and my buddy who's coming back, like he said, like I watched Mask of the Phantasm like hundreds of times, like I said earlier. So I don't even know if my VHS tape still works, but yeah.
What were you talking about while I was gone?
No, I was just talking about how I used to like. I love Batman the animated series so much. I remember looking up on the computer, like on my computer, like I would go on Cartoon Network's website, check their schedule, and see like when an episode would come on, because we didn't have streaming back then. I didn't even have like the show, like I had the Mask of the Phantasm, but like I didn't have the show on VHS. So I loved it so much that I wanted to watch it as much as I could, and I just feel like part of that was because of Kevin, like, and how much I loved hearing him voice Batman, and just how much I love Batman in general. Like, I don't have as many, figures and stuff, but like my love for him is, I would argue, is similar to yours.
Yeah. So unfortunately, we're gonna have to wrap this up right now.
Yeah.
Because I have something I gotta do. So that will be it on this one. As much as I would love to keep talking, but
no, for sure, bro.
Rest in peace to Kevin Conroy.
Rest in peace.
And then next time we will be talking about, whatever else we're doing.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in into the backlog. Comment, like, give us a subscribe. Comment if you want us to talk about anything. Let us know how you like Black Panther as well, and any memories that you have of Kevin as the Batman.
All right, y'all. Signing out.
Peace.
Keep digging in the backlog.